Good evening, everyone. Today, God is good and God is good all the time. My name is Erpo Spirit Divine. I'm here to give you some news on tonight and a word. First, we're gonna start with common sense gun law. I'm trying. It's like I told you, I'm trying to get all these policies together because it's just too much killing. Bill a proposal. Common sense gun law require every gun buyer to pass a criminal background check. So it's too much killing. It caused by guns and assault weapon. And lately they've just been talking in school, just gone in a school killing little babies. I don't know how you can do that, these little babies. So I request, that Congress pass this common sense gun law. A permanent policy that would guarantee force of any criminal who tries to purchase any gun, you know, won't be easy. It won't be easy for them to purchase a gun, just to walk out the same day with a gun. We have to sticking up these routes, you know, and so it won't be so easy, for people to get if we purchase guns, because we start doing background check, we won't have so many mental health people on guns in their possession to be gone and killing. And it's not just them, it's everyone. So that's why it's anyone. So we start doing a background check. We can be careful on who is handling these guns. So and also we're gonna have to start picking up on gun trafficking also, because if you do a background check on someone that purchases a gun and then they're selling it to someone else and their name is still on it and they translate to somebody, that's gun trafficking. So that person have not been had a background check. So I'm gonna be doing that next. So common sense law. The following procedures, under common sense law. So these are some of the procedures that's under common sense gun law. One, to purchase a gun or rifle, the age is up 20 years. I moved the age is up to 20 years old. Two, enforce a criminal background check. That's the main thing. We need to know who is purchasing these guns. What state of mind they're in to have a gun in their possession. So one, we're gonna check for their mental health. Two, we're gonna check if they had any criminal charge. Because you don't want someone have a criminal charge that did such and such with these guns, and you allowed them to purchase this gun from your store. So we gonna be checking for all of that. So three, we're gonna check if there were any gun trafficking. That's another policy I'm gonna be doing next. That's another thing. This person that went through the process, but then passing a gun on to someone else who has not gone through the process, so we need to try to handle that situation also, because the crimes is going from hand to hand. So gun trafficking is when you buy an illegal gun for someone and use it on someone, and it's not in your name. So four, gun storage law. This is a good one too. So many kids is getting guns from the home and shooting someone, or either using it out in the street. It could be a teenager, a child, or anyone. So this gun storage law will be a perfect one also, enforcing safety store for anyone to have who own a gun at home. You have to have it in storage away from the kids, and you have to have your weapon inside a box that have a lock in it, so if the kids do find it, they won't be able to get into it. So this is a good one too to be under common sense gun law. So if your background check come out with any one of these follows, you won't be able to purchase that gun. And when you want to purchase a gun, you're not taking it home the same day, because they have to do a background check. They have to look in your criminal, or see if you have any kind of criminal in your background check. So you will not be able to purchase a gun or rifle. If any one of these followers, pop up on your background check. So if you get stopped with a legal gun, or any gun trafficking, it will be taken and you will be charged. Because that's the next policy I'm going to try to come together, gun trafficking. So a permanent policy, and I request that this common sense gun law, pass all the requirements and be effective soon. So this is the common sense gun law. We need to try to have this done also, to try to get these guns off the street. So another policy is real good too. Red flag law, and ERP. So that's this is a good one too to try to save lives. So red flag law, it's a gun control. A law that permit police or family member, to order a temporary removal of a firearm from a person if they feel like this person, is in danger to someone else or to themselves, and they have this gun. The parent has the right to to have a court order placed, to have the gun removed from that person. So you feel like someone in your house, you feel like they're not in a stable mind to have this gun, and they have this gun. You have the right under red flag law, to have the court order to have them remove this gun from that person. So who may present a danger to others or to themselves? Cause we have to start catching all this stuff. If you know someone in your household that not stable, but they have weapons in their possession, something needs to be done. Cause we have to try to take control of all these mental health that go into these schools or going anywhere harming people. Because sometimes they'll harm someone and then they'll try to harm themselves. So I request that red flag law enforce these laws. It will save lives. It will save lives. So we have another we have an ERPO, extreme risk protection order. It may prevent, a court order that prevent a person who is at risk of hurting another person or committing suicide. So it pretty much also the same of red flag law. Both policies will save lives. Remove firearm, and guns from any person who may have mental health, or any kind of issue, I request that this procedure take place, red flag and ERPO. Is both policies that will try to help save lives, because they can remove it from a person that they know is unstable but have a gun in their possession. Red flag and ERPO, will save lives. Because you have to write, to call up, have a court order to have this gun removed from this person. And they'll evaluate this person, see if they really have mental health. And if it come back to have mental health, they have a right to remove that gun from their presence. So these are two laws that will save lives. Because they will remove guns, from people that will be in danger to someone or to themselves. So I have two policies here that we talked about common sense gun law. Common sense gun law, and I named the procedures that's under common sense law that will help. Will do a background at the ages to 20. Because it's so many that's under 18 years old. Killing, have a person have guns and rifles in their presence. And they're valid 18 years old. So enforce criminal law and criminal background check. That's the main thing. The main thing is checking if they already have a criminal background, they cannot purchase a gun. So mental health. It's so many crimes being taken lately with mental health person, and that's what the red flag law will come in place. If someone in your household is stable, is unstable, and but they have a gun. If you feel like they're not stable enough to have that gun in their presence, you have the right to get a court order to have it removed from that person before they do danger to someone else or to themselves. you know. So, and two, check if they have any criminal charge, you know. Check if they have, you know, ever been on gun trafficking, you know. So, and we gonna force this law with gun stores law because lately we've been having incident with kids getting a gun from the home, bringing it to school and using and shooting someone and kill someone, and teenager also is using guns that they done found in a household. You know, so gun stores law will be enforce safety. You know, for you if anyone own a gun in a household, you know, you have to place it in a box with a lock. Don't just put it in a box. It has to be locked. So if the kids do find it, they won't be able to get into it. You know. So we talked about that. We also talked about red flag law and ERP law. You know, both policies also know the same. You know, if you know anyone in the household is unstable and have a gun. You know, I don't know. Most parents know that their child is unstable. You know, and a lot of times they shoot the parents and then they run into the school and shooting the kids. For some reason, they're attached to hurting, harming kids. You know, so you know your child is unstable. You know, and they gone for a minute or so. You have, if you paying rent in their house, you have the right to go in their room and search. You know, see if they have gun. And you know, you already know that your child have mental health. Check and check and see. You know, check and see if they have guns in their room. That's the first thing the police do. When the police go to their house or unstable person, they go to their house and check all kind of stuff. You know, so a lot of times, you know, we trying to catch all this stuff at an early stage before anybody else get hurt. You know, so red flag would be a good law because you know anybody, you know, that's unstable with a gun, you have the right to get a court order. You know, and red flag, they will remove the guns from someone that may have caused danger to someone else or a danger to themselves. You know, so these are two good policies here. You know that we're gonna look into, and I request that both policies be affected soon be put together and be affected soon because I'm trying to come trying to tighten up these policies so because we need to have these kids safe. You know, we can't keep having these incidents like this. We got to start removing these guns from people, removing these guns off the street. You know, so I do have a word for you on today also. You know, the title gonna be Zebah and Zalmunna. You know, so you're gonna come from Judges chapter 8, verse 1 to 21. You know, and I'm gonna give you a little background on these two kings here. You know, so these two kings was the two kings who led the vast host of the Mammonites. You know, they're the two kings of the Mammonites. You know, who the Israel is fighting. You know, who invaded the land of Israel and over whom Gilead is gained a great victory. You know, so he gonna get victory off of these two kings right here. You know, so these two kings, Mammonites kings, you know, the Israelite is under the leadership of Gilead. You know, now Gilead is the one that God has sent, you know, to save the Israelite who was under these kings, who was giving them hard labor and oppressing them, you know, till they had cried out to God. But you know, God left their presence because they had or disobeyed him in serving other gods and bowing down to him. You know, so God sent someone that he know is good that gonna save them. You know, so Gideon he won victory. He won victory over the Mennonites. You know, and these two kings are two princes of the Mennonites that were captured. You know, so captured and so these two kings who God had put under them because the Israelites disobeyed him. And they refused to stop serving these other gods and stuff, you know. So now the Ephraimites asked Gideon, "Why you treating us like this here?" And so, "Why you treating us like this here?" Now, you know, they want to know why when he went to war, why they didn't confirm them. You know, they wanted to go along with him. You know, they see that he got victory. You know, they want to take some credit, for what he did. Why you ain't call us to go along with you to fight them Ammonites. But they see that get along challenged it, and he got victory over it. So now they wish they would have won so they could get some credit. But see, could get along, he got credit for himself. He had when God had sent him on a mission. When God sent us on a mission, he don't want everyone else to come. You Gallon and his men, that was the only one allowed to go. He still had the 300 men that God had picked out. So Gallon replied back to their comment. What have I accomplished to compare to you? God give over in Zebah, the Mennonites and leaders into your hands. So he's saying God give you this people into your hands. You didn't do nothing with them. So why you want to come with? He's saying why you in other way why you want to come with me when you didn't have a situation that God gave you to deal with? So what was I able to do to compare to you? Now see, you see Gallon, he stressed this twice. He told him twice, what I'm gonna accomplish, okay, having you pull along with me. So he's saving their resentment against him subside. So he gone against them. He have resentment that he didn't go with them. So now every round the leader had felt left out. He felt left out. Because Gedalon had not, called them to join in with battle. I guess they must have used to always go together to go fight battle, but this time he went by himself because it was a calling from God. But he had left them in place to clean up the escaping Mennonites. So Gedalon assured the leader of Israel, that their accomplishments were every greater than his own claim. So he pointed out that this real God that had managed to capture the enemy, to cutting off the leaders from their army. So God gave them some work to do. And they ain't gonna do it. Gallon saying, well, how you want to come with me when you ain't accomplish what you were supposed to do? So sometimes where there is a bully, sometimes where there's a bully and the leader of a group, you want to tear down the leader first. So then everyone else will follow behind, will bow down. Because sometimes you'll have a leader, just placing orders all the time, just being a bully, just detailing what they want other people to do. So a lot of times Israel, God always tell them, get that leader first. Because the leader is the one that's in control. The leader is the one that's placing his orders. So you want to get the leader first. Get the leader first, and then everyone else will bow down. So there will always be one. Bad seed will always be in control. So when the Israelites go into battle, they get the leader first. So in the other reason, Galilean had told them, to come along, because when God send you on assignment, so he didn't ask them to come along, because he's saying when God send you on assignment, only you and your men supposed to go. And see, Gallon, he accomplished his mission, and he received victory over the Mennonites leaders. So now we see that Gallon is still, he's still using the 300 men that God had picked out. And he gonna be fighting against like 10,000 men with only 3 men, cause God trying to show him. It's God power, that's helping you win this. Because a lot of time we get comfortable with what we have and thinking what we have got us to where we at. So God trying to show him, I'm giving you 300 men, but you're going to be fighting against 15 and 20,000 men, and you still going to get victory. Because you only can on in your own strength. That yesterday what I put out, in your own strength, God trying to test him that you cannot beat 15,000 men with 300 men. So God trying to show him, you only have 300 men, but you're going to get victory over 15,000 men. Knowing that's God power doing that, it's not on your own strength. So that was the test yesterday what God had gave them. So that God had picked out, So now they're fighting for a long time. They're fighting for a long time, because see, they're a winner. When you're a winner, you're not gonna quit. You're gonna keep on going on. He keep on pursuing his people. He's not gonna stop until his mission is done. So the men, they're exhausted, they're tired, they're thirsty, but they're still pursuing. And then so they cross over the Jordan. So they asked the first man that came along. So they asked him, could um Sukkot, so he came across him when they went across the Jordan River. They came across him and he asked him. He just asked him, his men thirsty, his men tired. Just ask him a question, ask him, could you give my troops some bread? Simple as that. Sometimes you have to know at the right time when to be nice and when to do something. We got a lot of people out here might trick you and do all kind of conniving stuff, but you got to have that knowledge and that discernment on. So at the right moment to do the right thing at the right time and at the right moment. So all he asked for some bread. He said, "My men is so tired. They is so tired. They is so worn out." And I am still pursuing. They're still pursuing these two kings. They're still pursuing these two kings. Zebah and Zebah. They're still pursuing these two kings. That these are the two leaders of the Mennonites. And so he refused. He refused. So Sukkot, he replied. Now he asked him. Now this person replying back. Do you already have these hands of these two kings? So you asking questions instead of just giving them bread. So in your possession. So why should we give you bread to your troop? Now we see his men refuse to give him bread, asking him questions instead of giving him bread for his troop. So Gadolin replied, just for that, he don't waste no time. He don't play. God had got the right one to save the Israelites. He said, but since you refuse to give my troops some bread, just for that, when the Lord do give me these two kings in my hands, I will be back. You know how the Terminator said, I will be back. And we're going to see down the line, he will be back. He said, I will be back. I will tear down your flesh, your desert throne and your process. Now, he's saying, he will be back. He's going to tear you into your flesh. He's going to tear everything in pieces. And he's going to stick to his promise. Just because the truth, and just because he ain't want to give his truth no break. So now we see that Gadolin army will tear his flesh into pieces when he come back. Now he gonna be sarcastic, but do you have these two kings in your possession? Okay, so Gadolin said, I will be back. He will be back with the two kings, and then he will tear your flesh into pieces. So this king, this person don't play. Now from there, he went up to Peniel. Now this is another person, Peniel. He went to him. He made the same request, of them. But they answered as the men Sukkot, had. Gadolin had said to the men of Peniel, when I return, because he refused to. He said, when I return and trumpet, I would tear this tower down. So you got these two people right here. They refuse to give his truth meat or anything to eat. These two people refuse. So Gadolin said, when I do get trumpet, when I do get these two men, I will be back. I will tear down this tower. Then the other one, I will tear your flesh into pieces. So they should have just given him some bread. So we see that Gadolin is going around making the same request. He making the same request, So now these two leaders, Sukkot, and Peniel, they refused to help Gadolin and his men. So Gadolin's army was 300 men, chasing 15,000, and they realized that victory was a certain because God was with Gadolin. Gadolin, he was with him, fighting that battle. We got to let them know that Gadolin did not defeat these 15 men with his 300, with his own strength. It was God helping them fight this battle. You know, but they were so worried about saving themselves. He was so worried about saving himself. Trying to go to people to get food and everything for his troop. But he never turned to God. He never turned to God for help. You remember God took care of the Israelites. He fed them, had the food coming down. He gave them water. So why get on to knock on everybody's door trying to get food and water? And you never turn around to God and say, God, please help my troop. We're fighting this war here. And my troop, they is drained, they wore out. Help us, God. But he never turned to God. He never turned to God for help. But still, he will knock on everybody's door. Knocking on everybody's door, giving the food. Didn't get mad because they turned him down. But your first priority was to turn to God. Just like God took care of the Israelites, fed them, give them water when they were thirsty. What you think he going to do with us? He will take care of us the same way he took care of the Israelites. All he had to do was turn to God. He not once turned to God. He just going all around, making all these requests because nobody not giving him his truth no break. So they never thought to turn to God for help. So when the Israelite was in the wilderness, God fed them. God gave them water. Gedaliah should have prayed to God to feed him and his truth, and it would have been done. Now sometimes we forget when we in a jam, we in a struggle, we in all kind of situations, we forget that we have a mighty God. The mighty God can do the impossible. He could do the impossible. Just like he had that food coming down for the Israelites. Hit a rock and give no water. That's an impossible. And I know, get along, know the stories of the Israelites. You working for the Israelites. You know how they was in their wilderness for 40 years and God took care of them. Their shoes didn't wear out, clothes didn't get all musty and stained, foot didn't swell up. That's impossible. But sometimes we forget about the mighty God that do the impossible. Just like he took care of the Israelites. And Gedaliah is still in the history of the Israelites. And don't even know that he took care of them, he will take care of you and your army. So who took care of the Israelites, and he will do the same thing for us today. So now Gedaliah is chasing against these two kings. He chased them against. Now he chased them against these two kings. I ain't gonna give you too much information till we get down. He taking this personal, and down the line you will see why he taking this so personal. He beating the army. He beating the army down. But the main two people he won't escape. They flee away. And he gonna chase behind those two. He taking this person. He gonna chase behind them, and he gonna run them down. So these two kings, who have 15,000 men, and now that was the 15,000 that was left, but he had like 20,000. So that means God had took care of a lot of them men. Falling down, 20,000 men is down. And all he have left is 15,000. So now we see that Gedaliah have only 300 men. But they took on these kings' men, but God is knocking these men down. We can't forget that God is doing this. God is knocking these men down. Because see, God had tested them yesterday. God trying to show them, you got 300 men. You still knocking men down. Who you gonna get the credit to? You're gonna get the credit to God. Because see, at one time he was giving the credit to himself, to his own strength. So God let him know you can't do nothing on your own strength. With 300, see, he had confidence in himself when he had all them thousand of men, and that's how he was winning. So now God want him to put his confidence in him. Still, you got 300 men. No, you can't beat 1,000 of men with 300 men. So God trying to show him, I want you to put your confidence in me with these 300 men. So he was scared at first. He didn't want. God saw how he was afraid. Remember yesterday I put it out. He was afraid that God, he had 300 men, and you want me to go out there and defeat 10 and 20? It was 32,000 yesterday. You want me to defeat all these men with 300? What God was doing. God was doing, you had so much confidence in all the men that you have. I need you to put the confidence in me. Realize you got 300 men, but your confidence in God that you still will win this battle. That's what the test was about. So now Gelon is chasing against these two kings, and he have 15,000 men, but the men they started out with 20 men, and now they left with 15,000 because God knocked them on down. So Galilee had went up by the route of the east, attacking the unexpected army. Now see what he did? He went all around. See, they walked out. Do you remember? They flee. They didn't realize Galilee was still following them. They went so far, they didn't realize he was still following them that far. He went around a whole nother way. So he attacked the unexpected army. They weren't expecting to see him. They weren't expecting him to still be following them. So now Gelon is around the other side of the east attack. They thought he turned around and went their way. So these two kings, are the Mennonites, they had fled. But he pursued them and captured them rather than their entire army. He took this person and he wasn't going to stop until he got these two kings. Now the Mennonites was escaping into the desert area where the tent dwelling no man lived. So they didn't expect Gerlon to follow them this far. They expected him to follow them this far. They thought he had turned around and went on back his way. So that's why it was said attack the unexpected army. They weren't expecting to see Gerlon. They thought he had turned around and went back home. So the Gerlon was captured. He captured them, and he captured, his entire army. So Gerlon's son, his son left him. Now the son had came back. In return, he returned back from the battle that passed of his. So he called a young man, Seco, in question. So the boy questioned the man. This the one. Now remember Gelon said, I will be back. So he catches two men. Now he back to Soko, and question him. The young man wrote down the name. So he called one of the men, also called, and he wrote the name down, a 77 official so-called the elder of the time. So he bragging on his own people that's under the man. Cause remember, Gelon said, I'm coming back. So he going back. And so they got the elders in the town. And so now, to remember, Gelon did say, and to so-called and Penis, say he would be back, but they both had refused to give his true bread. So now Gelon captured the two kings, and he wanted now to go back to punish the two people that refused him food. He said he gonna be back. Now he going back, and he gonna punish them for refusing him his men food. So Gelon took the elder of the town. Remember the man told him he got the elders in the town. So Gelon went over there to the town, and he took the men. He took the men, and it was a lesson. It was a lesson by punishing them with the desert torn of burial. Remember, he said he was gonna take them, take his flesh, and toss it in barrels. And we see he did just that. And then a second one, a punishment to Penis. He also pulled down the tower of Penis. Remember, he said, I'm going to come back, I'm going to pull down your tower, and he killed the men in the town. So he came back and did just what he said he was going to do. So now we see Gelon had stuck to his word. He came back with a punishment, to Seeker, Clove, and Penis. He came back with a punishment. So we see Gelon carry out the threat, that he had made. It is difficult to determine whether the act of revenge. Now he did revenge, and he did a punishment. And two things God don't want us to do. So we're going to look at this situation right here. He did a punishment and he did a revenge. God always do the revenge, and God always punish our enemies. So justify, or rather he should have left the punishment up to God. So that's the two things that he did. that he was supposed to really lead up to God. Because a lot of times, dealing with the Israelites, God go back and punish and defeat, the kings that had did the Israelite wrong. So the two things that Gerlon did, the punishment is left to God, and the revenge is left to God. So one, God don't want us to perceive revenge on our enemies. Two, but Gerlon perceived revenge and he carried out his punishment, to these two kings. You know, he did his own revenge and his own punishment without consulting God, because God do the revenge and God do the punishment. So Gerlon was God appointed leader, but the men of these two people, refused to help him and give food to his troops. So God had appointed this job to him, but they refused to help because they fear him. So if you fear someone, you will want to give them the food and stuff. So they show neither faith nor respect, for God, nor the man that God had chosen to save them. So that would really irritate God, because he is a man from was chosen from God to do this job, but it still wasn't his place to do punishment and revenge. But at the same time, he was saying that these people did not respect the man that God chose, and they did not respect God. So that's why he got so irritated and he came back with revenge and punishment. So we should help others because it is right. So his men was tired and rolled out. They refused to give him any kind of food. We know, sometimes, you got to be cautious of people that come knock on your door or help somebody out in the street, because there's so much stuff going on. But that's what the knowledge and discernment have to kick in at. That's when you have to pray to God. Is this right? If I'm doing the right thing for the right person, so sometimes we have to pray to God, to find out if this is right, because so many scams is going on. It's so much evilness and killing is going on. So a lot of times you want to be careful, but at the same time, that's when your knowledge and discernment have to kick in. If you're doing the right thing at the right moment for the right person. So Gerlon asked the two kings. Now we about to get to the point. Remember, I had told you he taking this case personal. Now we about to see why he taking a person, because he killed all his men, but these two ran, and he chased behind them, because he took it personal. Now we about to see why he took it personal. Now he asked the two kings, who is still alive? Because they're still alive. He ain't killed them yet, because he need to ask some questions first. So what kind of men did you kill at the terror? So this is all about the men that these two kings had killed. The question that he's asking. So they respond, men like you. So they want to be sarcastic. The men like you. Each one with their bearing of a price. So he was saying they're just like ordinary people we kill, like we kill all the time. So Gerlon, he replied, those were my brothers, the sons of my own mother. Now down the line, I'm going to read to you why he made this statement, that from my own mother. Now, this the reason why he took this personal with these two kings. Now, he chased behind them, and they ran a long way, far away, that they really thought he turned around and went back home. He took this person because these two kings is the one that killed his brothers, and he want to know why you killed my brothers. You should have had spared my brother's life. I would have spared your life. So that's why Gerlon's mission is so personal. So even though God sent him on a job, but it's also a job that is very personal to him, because then it kills his brothers. So he said, as surely as the Lord live, if you had spared my brother's lives, I would not kill you. Now he's saying, if you would not if you will not kill my brothers, you'll live. But since you expelled my brothers and you killed my brothers, your life is about to be taken right now at this moment. So we see that those two kings killed his brothers, and that's why he took everything so personal, and that's why everything had irritate him. For them to not to give him some food, and then okay, for that I'm gonna come back and do this and do the other. He was on age.